folks, John Cordisco back again. The Showdown in St. Louis. It's a match play between my buddy from the United States, Nakamura, and 11 Aronian from Armenia. It's a $100,000 match. Winner gets $60,000, loser $40,000. The way they work it is, it's 4 classical games. Each win is 4 points. And then there's, I believe, 15 blitz games to follow this, and they're 1 point each. And whoever has the most points gets the $60,000, and the loser gets $40,000. Pretty cool. Anyway, this is round 1. Played on the 21st of November. Nakamura is white. Aronian is black. It's going to be a Nimzo Indian. Excuse me. E6. Typical Nimzo stuff. Bishop. Bishop D2. Castles. E3. Rook E8. A3. Kicking the bishop. Bishop comes all the way back. Interesting. That must be a new thing in theory, because there's quite a few. Top 4 moves on the computer are all basically the same in score. Bishop B7, F8, D6, and bishop takes C3. In this line, Aronian plays bishop back to F8. Rook to C1. Knight, bishop E2. This is pretty standard stuff. I'm not familiar with the bishop on F8 for black, but obviously these guys are world-class players, so this must be the new theory. A6. C5. Carl decides to push it, get some space on the queen side. C6. Knight A4. Knight E4. Hitting the dark squared bishop here. Not many places for it to go. White just castles. Bishop takes. Queen takes I like a little bit better, but Carl decided to go knight takes. Basically an even game. Minute advantage for white at this point. E5. Levin decides to try to open it up. E4. Interesting. E4 isn't even on the list. Oh, here it comes. It's coming up now. D takes E5 is the best move. Carl decided to try something different, I think, with E4. And after D takes, knight takes, Queen H4. Now this looks really strange, I gotta tell you. And here we are on move 15, and black has equality already. So obviously something went wrong for Carl. He's got to play F3. He doesn't have much other choice. And then, of course, opens up his king. E takes. Bishop C4. There's not much black can do to save that pawn. If queen had taken, knight F6, G3, queen H6, and I don't like the king side for white's king. Knight F6. Knight B6. Interesting. Going after the rook and the light squared bishop. Rook moves. Now those of you that are wondering if black should have taken knight takes C4. After F takes, bishop E6. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes, rook takes, queen takes, and black loses. He's down the exchange even more, actually. After rook to B8, knight takes the bishop. The B rook takes, which makes sense. You want to keep this rook on the only open file in the position. Why would you want to take with that rook? Queen takes the pawns. We're back to material being even. Knight takes. Pawn takes. Rook C7. Now, it's a tiny minute advantage for white. I mean, these are positions that I don't know how I would say this. Carl's got 2 isolated pawns, and if you notice, there's opposite color bishops. I don't know. We'll have to see how this works out. Rook C to E1. Rook over, hitting the queen. Queen goes back to E3. Now I take that back. That C pawn isn't isolated for white, but it's pretty far advanced. It actually is holding back black's B pawn, so that's a good spot for it. What to do, what to do? White's king's a little exposed, but queen h6. Now, that's interesting because that's the second move on the computer. g6 is the first move. And I don't think that's a problem weakening the dark squares around the king, black's king, because white has a light squared bishop. We decided to go queen to g6, which is the second best move. If he had gone g6 instead, then g3, queen h6, rook f4. Basically an even game, but I like white a little better here, to be honest with you. After queen h6, b4. Okay, now he's tidying up his pawns on the queen side. Pretty much this poor b-pawn for black is so backward. I mean, it's basically worthless. Queen takes, rook d4. Bishop just comes back. I mean, Carl's okay. g6, rook to f3. And I think what happened the last 2 or 3 moves is Aronian played very casually. Very casually. Now you've got some serious stuff coming here. Rook here, double rooks here. What do you do? He went rook d to d7, and that was his mistake. He should have went a5. He went rook d to d7, which is a very, very natural move. Now comes the trouble. e5. Here comes the e-pawn. Rook e7. Now what you do here is a Carl. You're a Carl. What do you do? Think of a move that's the best move to make here. e6. Nice. Very nice. Pawn can't take because you lose the bishop. Rook can't take because you lose the exchange, then you lose the bishop. h5. Now, computer liked f takes, rook to f6, but didn't try that. h5, rook to f6 now, and the points are piling up. It's a 2.5 point advantage now for Nakamura as white. King to g7, what else can he do? He can't move either of the rooks, he can't move the bishop anywhere really decent. h4, a5, he's just trying to open things up. Carl just ignores it. Pawn takes, king h7. He couldn't move anything. Bishop c2, king, now he takes, rook takes, check, king to h8. I mean, this looks bad for black, but the only thing that's holding his position together at all is this bishop here. Doubling up. Bishop g7, just to block the advance of the rooks. Rook comes up and hit the pawn. I think Carl might have played a little inaccurately at this point. He's about 1.5 points up. I think he's making it harder for himself than it should be. Rook to f4. Rook takes check. King has to go there. Now white's up 2 pawns, but I mean his king's in a really bad spot. I mean we can see that, but you have to be incredibly accurate now because Aronian can squirrel out of this. Bishop f5. Computer like rook to d6, to be honest with you. That was a really, really top move. Carl picked bishop f5. If he had gone rook to d6, after king, bishop, king g8, and it looks really bad here for black. After bishop f5, king moves, bishop e6. He's trying to cut off the black king. Rook takes b4 is the computer suggestion, followed by bishop d4 check. He goes king to e8, moves his king away, and bang. If he had gone rook takes, rook f5 check, king e8 then. After king e8, g3. Rook has to go to f6, f3, has to go somewhere. He takes the pawn. Big mistake. Big on rook to f6, bishop f5, rook takes, bishop takes, king e7, and it's just, black is doomed. After rook takes, king to g2, king g2, rook b2 check, king comes up, king d8, rook comes over. I mean, how would you like to be black here? Wow. Look at this one pawn, holding back all of this. Bishop c3, rook checks, king has to go to e7, bishop comes back to c4, rook f2, if b5, pawn takes, rook takes, it's bad. After rook to f2, rook to h5, it's over a 6-point advantage now for Carl. And this is for 11 Aronian from Armenia. I believe he's number 4 in the world now. Resigns. Give you an idea. After rook f7, bishop has to take, king takes, rook checks, king. You get the idea. All those pawns go because they're on light squares. Go figure. Anyway, folks, that's the game from round 1 in the showdown in St. Louis. $100,000 worth of prize money for 2 players. Pretty good gig there. How'd you like to get in last place and lose and still get 40 G's? Anyway, folks. Oh, I want to thank all my new subscribers. Gotten quite a few in the last few weeks, and I personally appreciate it. Also, I want to mention there's a short post-mortem interview with both players after the game, so stay in for that. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
We are with Grandmaster Levant Aronian. Lev, tough day at the office today. Tell us what happened.
I got too excited. I thought that my position is much better, although it was slightly better. And then I overstepped the boundaries, probably with rook c7 on move 21. I was trying to push and go for a game, but I should just take a draw with rook e4.
So we thought you had some aggressive possibilities here. Certainly f5 was a bit too sharp. But you said that knight f6 doesn't really lead anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't like it because of knight b6 and then takes in d5.
This move?
Yeah.
We had wondered in this position if, like, after d5 takes, knight d5, the computer comes up with this move, queen c6. Did you look at this position?
No, I thought he would take with the queen.
Oh, with the queen instead. And here, queen takes d5, bishop e6, and you weren't impressed by your position here.
I mean, I was looking for more. Because I felt maybe this is slightly better, but nothing serious. So, in fact, I forgot that white can actually take on d4, and I mean, on move number 20. For some reason, I thought this is not possible, and yeah, and then I started playing very badly.
Did you have the feeling, like you said, that you were much better? Was that the feeling that you had inside?
I thought I'm slightly better, but then I thought I need to play precise, so I spent a lot of time trying to find the right move, and then, I mean, I realized that rook 7 was a mistake, or, I mean, not really a mistake. I mean, I should just play with g6, but then I thought, okay, let's make a draw and play queen h6, and then I missed b4. And after b4 is very unpleasant.
So this move, rook d8, you weren't totally happy with, because after this...
No, I felt, okay, let's just go for this, because queen h6 takes, and then it's a draw with bishop g7. And after b4, I realized what I have done, but it's very difficult to do anything here. I probably have to abandon my pawn on f7 somehow, but it's, I mean, it's a difficult choice. And since I spent all my time, I burned all my time on looking for good moves. In fact, yeah, I was in time trouble here.
Now this is what happens often, right? You feel like you're better, should be better, something good, and then it's not there, and the game changes. Like when did you realize at some point, like, this is not working out?
Well, after b4, I've completely forgot that he doesn't have to take on h6. After b4, I realized my position is horrible, because I mean I cannot tolerate the pawn on e6. If I play with f6, then he'll just penetrate on line d.
You saw this line after in this position after e6.
No, of course I saw this.
With f6, this position.
I should have done this, but I felt, I felt maybe h5 gives me more chance. I forgot about rook f6, but I just had a 1 minute, so.
So the time caught up with you.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have a bad first round? Like, how do you prepare yourself for the next games?
Well, I mean, after you play such a horrendous game, I guess you know that you cannot play worse, so you're more relaxed.
So you'll just go eat some food and get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Trying to play. I'll try to play my best tomorrow.
Well, we hope so. Thanks for being so gracious with
Thank
your time.
you.
Grandmaster Levon Aronian, after a tough first round, we'll see you tomorrow bouncing back. With America's #1 player and one of the world's elite players, Hikaru Nakamura, Grandmaster, chess.com, you're sporting the hat today.
Why not? It's cold weather here, so I need to wear something more.
Okay. We know you got the Red Bull going, so... Oh.
Thank you.
This game didn't look like it was in your favor for some time. It looked like Black had figured out what to do about here and had a solid position.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just wanted to play chess today, so I didn't play a very inspiring opening, and I made a few early mistakes. I mean, I think going knight a4 was rather ridiculous, because I basically could have had the same position, but I could have had this option of keeping the dark square bishop on the board. So, like, if I castle e5, knight a4, knight e4, I can just put my bishop back on e1. It's nothing special. I mean, it's still a game, but somehow the way I played was just very weird. I don't even know how to explain it, because it's just kind of, I was just kind of making moves, and then suddenly I decided to play e4. Like I can't. I mean,
that was a wild move. That got us excited, because we thought we were in for the long haul, and all of a sudden e4 and the board was on fire.
Yeah, it's probably a bad move objectively. I mean, I basically was going to play b4, and then the more time I used, I was going to go b4, put a knight on b3 and a5. The more time I used, the less I liked it, and so I just kind of played e4, I guess, and it kind of worked out, I guess. But overall, I think it was fairly even. I think the critical test was when Levon did not go f5 after f3 on move 16. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure what was going on after f5, but...
the computer seemed to think you would be kind of okay with this kind of craziness.
Yeah, kind of okay. The problem is there's so many lines here. First, there's the problem that Black can go queen d8. That's option 1. I think this is bad for Black because there's some knight g5 trick. And, I mean, I think why it's okay, but I was much more concerned with rook e7. I thought, like, rook e7, queen f5, and I think some g6 here. And I didn't like the position, really. I mean, I think it's probably okay for white, but it's very, very complicated.
I think what we're looking at, the computer was showing that you're probably fine in some of these positions, but it did look hairy, like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I guess that's what you were calculating when you thought about f3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I was most concerned with. I mean, I guess there are other moves like knight f6 or rook d8, but in general, f5 I thought was a critical test. And once Levon didn't play f5, I thought it was more or less okay. I mean, basically, once he took on d4, after I go bishop c4, knight f6. Yeah, this was the last one. I was very surprised he didn't go knight e5.
Yeah, we were all wondering.
I thought knight e5 was the obvious move. Yeah, and I think Black might still be very slightly better, but it didn't happen, fortunately. And after knight f6, I think it's just completely equal or better for white.
Were you surprised at how passively he played this first game? I mean, you think he just wanted a draw and wanted to keep it solid?
Well, no, because I mean, I think Levon thought he was better. So I mean, I think he was. I think basically at this point, that's kind of the problem, is that he's not. So I mean, yeah, knight e5 was much more critical as well. But once he played knight f6 and I got to take the bishop on c8, I knew I wouldn't have any issues, and I should be able to coast home to a draw.
Yeah, right. But all of a sudden, you get this position with pawn e5 and the rooks are doubled after this great move b4, by the way, and suddenly you just pressure everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised, but I had a feeling this might happen because I realized, once I played, what was the move? I think after I played F takes E4, Levant, I think, still had about 15 to 20 minutes, and after I took on E4, he basically used up probably like 17 or 18 of his minutes, so he got down to like 1 or 2 minutes, and that's when I realized that even though I still didn't think it was anything special, I knew there would be some chances because he was getting low and he clearly didn't like his position.
It's unbelievable. He had 14 seconds, and that increment just kept.
I mean, it's difficult though. I mean, it's a difficult position when you go from being, I mean, at least optically looking much better to basically being equal or worse. It's not pleasant for sure.
One question for you: there was this line that the computer suggested before you, right here when he panicked and played H5. The idea of playing F6 and giving you this pawn and Bishop G7 and just trying to hunker down. Did you have a way you saw maybe of getting through here?
No, I think it's probably a draw, but I mean I'll just play on for another 3 hours. So that's all you can do really. I mean I think it should be a draw still, but. I mean, again, for a human, I mean, it's going to be difficult, and you're going to suffer for like forever. So it's just not a pleasant.
Suffer. I like that. Yeah. I like that.
But so, I mean, after H5, I think it's just very close to losing. That's the difference.
That G6 pawn turns into just a problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
You win the first game of a match. It's a short match, 4 games. What's your strategy going into game 2?
Well, I'm black, so I guess I'll just try and play good moves. That's the most important thing. If I play good moves, unlike today, then things should be okay.
Okay, well, we wish you the best, and we hope for more exciting games like this. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your game.
Thanks.
U.S. #1 in good spirits after a great win. This is